That actually works way better than I thought it would. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today, let's take a look at the Medicom MAFEX Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Peter B. Parker Spider-Man. Now, this is coming in late, I know. Mail being what it is, international shipping, I didn't get this until a few weeks after the actual release, and then things kept piling up, so it got pushed back. But from what I've heard from other guys who do this crazy thing and what I've seen, I'm excited about getting this open, but I wasn't so much excited because my MAFEX Miles, where'd it go? On top of it coming in at a weird time when I couldn't get to it, when I finally did, I had some problems with it and I wasn't able to shoot and I had to ask for a replacement, and by the time I finally got a replacement leg section, or lower half of the body as normal people would call it, it was way late and I lost complete interest in actually looking at it. But now that I have it all together, I can compare it, and I don't know, it's small, it's thin. You can put the MAFEX head on the Marvel Legends body though, and it looks fantastic. But getting on to Peter B. Parker, looking at the package, it's what we're used to when it comes to MAFEX, kind of just graphics thrown at a box. You see most of what you get. There's some hands down behind there and some feet over here. On the side, a promotional shot of Peter eating pizza. On the back, more pretty promotional shots showing what it can do, what it comes with, accessories, that creepy ass bear right there that haunts my dreams. Leave me alone, bear. On the other side, promotional shot, logos. On the top, logos. On the bottom, warnings, legalese, more warnings, don't put them in your mouth. That unpirateable, uncopyable hologram sticker on bottom. But let's get this open, see what's going on here. First, we make an incision. Essentially says pull the hands off to remove the coat and then put the hands back on. That's that whole section up there. And then the bottom says remove the feet before taking off the sweatpants. Not the greatest stands in the world, but in a pinch, they will, its own weight is making it drop. You can tighten up the screws. You can even tighten up the clamp if you want. Not super tall, not super sturdy. With the screws tightened, it's better. Like I always say with stands like this, it's adequate. What do we got on the back? Oh, just some of the graphics from Into the Spider-Verse. It's part of the box, so you can't use it as a dio or background. A tray for the hands themselves. That's a lot of hands. And getting the figure out of the package, you'll notice that I've taken all the clothes off. I've stripped them down to, well, stripped them down is a harsh term. Taken them down to the base Spider-Man parts where you can see all the joints. Or so I can get a better look at the joints. The problem I had with Miles is I went to posing with the clothes on, so I thought the force that was working against me was the stiffness of the clothes, and it wasn't. It was the tiny pins and the tightness of the joints. So here I wanted to get all the cloth off of it. I wanted to take it apart where I could look at the joints down underneath, but Peter seems to be a lot less problematic than Miles. And I'm also liking the proportions on Peter a lot better. He still has the Spider-Man mass, the muscle, but he also has that added weight. And you can use the articulation to accentuate that either more or less. Get the belly out a bit, at least looking at the side, almost like he's sucking it in, because you look at the front and there's still not quite that V shape. It goes to the thinness of the limbs going down to the feet, the hands. Yeah, overall, it's almost like they ripped it right out of the movie. Getting up close, they did sculpt the webs into the costume, and what it comes down to these days is your personal preference. Whether you like them raised or indented or just painted on, different companies do different things. But I feel like it's a good uniform look all the way around. I do think the paint is sporadic. It's heavy in places, it's lighter. You can see the webs coming around, but it kind of disappears up here and then down at the hands. Same thing at the legs, dark in places, lighter in others. But the whole body has this slight texture to it that's both on the blues and the reds. And most of the time at this scale, they would make that a little bit deeper to make it more visible to the naked eye, because you really have to look on here. But I also like how subtle they went with it. It's there, you can see it, but if you reached out and touched it, you wouldn't actually feel it. I didn't realize how high the belt was in the back. And there are several different head options here, but the one that came on it in the package and the one I left on to look at it. Here is the unmasked head, and they just nailed the look. I thought the Marvel Legends was good, but this takes it past that, even closer to the animation. Hell, let's go ahead and bring it in. Both are good. In fact, the Marvel Legends one kind of skews more realistic. They both have the 5 o'clock shadow. They did great with the fade, but I like the hair on the Marvel Legends slightly better. The MAFEX one almost looks faux hawkish. Again, not super off, but I don't know. Is it the shape? What's going on there? There's almost a dusty look. Speaking of dusty, that brings up one of my bigger gripes is on the body, the blue, it's shiny. It's a bright blue. But on the arms, it's duller and almost a different shade of blue. It's super apparent though between the upper leg and the lower leg. Spoiler alert, these are swappable. These weren't on it in the package. So I don't know if this was a different mold, maybe a different plastic. It's really just bam, bam. Also, we see this a lot in MAFEX. The wrists and the ankles just stick out at you. It's kind of unavoidable. It's almost the same difference between the sheen and the color of the reds as it is between the blues. But you get it at normal distance from your face and in normal lighting, those don't show up as much. But when it comes to durability, everything is nice and tight, almost too tight in places. Articulation wise, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck with a ball joint down at the bottom. Can look up, looks down. It is so beautiful. Swivels. The shoulder joint is odd. I think there's some kind of, some kind of dumbbell in there coming out to hinge and swivel on the outside of that shoulder piece, because there is extension in and out while also butterflying forward and back and down and up. But the shoulder also hinges up, rotates around, swivel at the bicep, double elbow comes up, all the way. Look at him, he's holding his own shoulder. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist. The hinge goes super far, but if you want to turn that, bring it here, in and out, whichever direction you want to go. I think it's a dumbbell actually. In the mid torso, ball joint at the waist. Together you get this. And at first I thought, man, that is terrible for a Spider-Man, but then I realized he did pack on a few pounds. Maybe he can't get as far as he could in his heyday, but he can arc back. And there's also quite a bit of tilt side to side, along with rotation, of course. There is a drop down at the hip, allows to come forward, up past 90, back, about right there, out. Oh, better than some Spider-Man. Well, that doesn't make sense here. Rotation at the top of the leg, double knee. Oh, the muscles run into each other. Can you go, 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 bing! Same setup at the ankle as the wrist. Swivel, hinge, swivel, goes back all the way, forward beautifully. You can rotate at the top of that to put the foot somewhere, but you can also rotate on the forward facing pin, and then a toe joint goes up to there. For accessories, oh, the hands. In the package, it has 2 relaxed hands, there's 2 fists, there's 2 thwips, 2 grips, another set of relaxed hands that's slightly more closed, but notice the pin near the thumb. That comes into play. There's 2 grip hands with the thumb out to just barely enough hold to hold a web in there. There's 2 splayed out wall crawling hands that's for fingertips, because there's also another set of wall crawling hands more flat, and then a set of wall crawling hands with magnets. And to go along with those, there's also an extra pair of feet with magnets in them. But from there, going back to hands, there is one more. There's a hand holding a coffee mug. Easy enough to pull off, especially the ones that were on it in the package, but the ones that weren't on are a bit tighter. Push. There's even some coffee down in there. Oh, in my head right now I'm hearing, don't do that. There's also several head options. In the package, it's this unmasked head. It looks amazing. But then there's also a half masked head, a little bit angrier. Then there's a swappable neck for the masked heads, which this one has wide eyes kinda. And then there's an alternate masked head with eyes more thin. For that, it's easy enough to pop the head off the top, but when it comes to popping the neck, you got to use some force. I absolutely love this look. It is very classic feeling. A damn good looking Spider-Man figure. Comes with a slice of pizza that goes into the grip hand easily. Who takes a bite out of the side like that though? Insane people do. There's also this mask he can hold in his hand, and notice at the top there is a small pinhole that goes into that slightly relaxed grip hand. There's also a swappable option at the knees. You pull these off and you have bare skin lower legs. And if you took them off without the feet on them, and it's hard to tell which way's right and left, does have an R inside. At the bottom of those, you have 2 options there. There's a set of bare feet or the asymmetrical boot and shoe combo from the show. I hear lots of people absolutely hate this look, but I love it. Great detail to those. I love that they painted the silver here. The laces are a different color. Same thing over here. With that, we start getting into the soft goods. He comes with a pair of sweats. It's a nice kind of stretchy material. It's sweats material. Remember what the instructions said. You have to take the feet off in order to put the sweats on. Oh, I got them going down the same leg. There we go, there we go. Then there's also the soft goods jacket. It's the perfect shade of green. You can see these buttons they've put on. There's also wire in the collar where you can put it anywhere you want, and there's also wire down at the bottom. Again, heed the instructions. You take the hands off, because I told you have to put clothes on. Again, with the wire, you can get it closed around here, and it'll stay closed. A bit bulky, as cloth tends to do whenever it's supposed to be bulky. They kind of shoot over that goal line, but the sweats look great, and because of the elastic at the bottom, you can pull them up just a bit if you want them riding high. So many accessories, I nearly forgot. It also comes with the usual assortment of MAFEX webbing. It has that McFarlane-esque wraparound to the web. This one has a grip on the end for the grip hand. The other two, the shooting ones, have loops that you put on and then slip the hand on top of it. And it ends up looking great. Peter stands at about 6 1/4 to the top of his hair. Here he is next to the MAFEX Into the Spider-Verse Miles, and I can't help thinking that Miles is small and very, very thin. Because when I bring in the Marvel Legends, this seems more teenagery, especially next to Peter B. Parker, which is actually slightly shorter than the Marvel Legends Peter B. Parker. Again, that's the MAFEX head on the Marvel Legends body too. It just looked too good. Here he is next to the MAFEX Gwenpool and Deadpool. Looks small next to the Marvel Legends Prowler from Into the Spider-Verse, but it looks great next to Gwen. Random Spider-Mans. Here's the Marvel Legends new style Spider-Man, then the MAFEX MCU Spider-Man. Hey, they were still in the review booth. Give me a break. So at the end of the day, just a fantastic Spider-Man figure. It may not be able to do everything a spider can do like a lot of other Spider-Man figures, but it's not supposed to. Again, this is a Spider-Man that kind of fell on hard times. He let himself go a bit, so I don't expect it to do all the crazy stuff that you expect a Spider-Man to do. Only because of what this is based upon. I'm going back and forth here, I think. But the overall look is exactly what I wanted out of an Into the Spider-Verse Peter B. Parker, with tons of options to change up that look. Sweats and coat with boot and shoe, or just sweats, bare feet, full costume, masked, unmasked, webbings, hands, so much to work with here. Of course, for the price, there better be a lot to work with here. As always, it comes down to what you want, your preferences, what you can overlook when it comes to it's an expensive action figure, really. With the Marvel Legends already on the shelf, this gives me the option for a different look from the movie that I can display with that. And going back to Miles yet again, for the MAFEX, I have the full costume look. With the Marvel Legends, I have the sweatshirt over it, the shorts, the shoes. And while I'm confident in recommending Peter, I don't know if I can recommend Miles. It's not because I broke it. That was kind of me just going at it. It's not as fun as that. I'm interested in seeing what Sentinel can do with their version. But if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus if you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I wonder if I can hit that with some dull coat. Try to make the sheens match slightly. But if you're going after the full-on Peter B. Parker found clothes in an alleyway look, this is the figure for you. The posability, the overall look. Camera angle is terrible. Why am I going for a crotch shot?